The stars looked different from the command deck of the USS Defender. Captain John Miller stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the unfamiliar patterns of light through the main viewport. They had traveled farther than any human ship before them, beyond the edges of charted space, following a signal that defied explanation. "Status report," Miller said, his voice steady despite the tension that hung in the air. "All systems nominal, Captain," replied Susan Hayes from her station. "We're holding position at the edge of the anomaly just as ordered," Miller nodded. The anomaly had appeared on their long-range scanners 3 weeks ago, a ripple in space that shouldn't exist. Earth scientists had been divided on whether to investigate. Some saw it as a natural phenomenon, others as a potential first contact opportunity. A few warned it could be dangerous. In the end, curiosity won out, as it always did with humans. "Dr. Wright, anything new on the scans?" Miller asked. Alan Wright, the ship's lead scientist, shook his head. His fingers moved quickly over his console, adjusting parameters. "Nothing concrete, sir. Energy readings are off the charts, but they don't match anything in our database. It's like nothing we've ever encountered. Keep at it. I want to know what we're dealing with before we get any closer." The Defender had been Earth's pride when it launched, the first true deep space vessel with a crew of 200 of humanity's best and brightest. They had spent the last 3 years exploring the nearby star systems, cataloging planets, and searching for signs of intelligent life. Until now, they had found plenty of worlds, but no other civilizations. The anomaly represented their first, real chance at first contact. Communications specialist Samantha Boyd suddenly straightened in her chair. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange on the comms. It sounds almost like whispers." Miller frowned. "Put it on speakers." The bridge filled with an eerie sound, like dozens of voices speaking just below the threshold of understanding. It made the hairs on Miller's neck stand up. "Can you clean it up?" he asked. "I'm trying, sir," Boyd replied, her fingers dancing across her console. "There seems to be a pattern, but I can't quite." The ship suddenly lurched, throwing several crew members from their stations. Red warning lights flashed across every screen. "Report," Miller shouted above the blaring alarms. "Something's pulling us toward the anomaly," called out Navigator Paul Martinez. "Engines at full reverse, but we're not slowing down." Chief Engineer Kevin Russell's voice came in over the comms. "Captain, something's interfering with our power systems. We're losing control of the engines." Miller grabbed the nearest console to steady himself as the ship shuddered again. "All hands brace for impact. Boyd, send emergency transmission to Earth Command. Tell them everything we've learned about the anomaly." Boyd worked frantically at her station. "Signal's not getting through, sir. Something's blocking our transmissions." The anomaly filled their viewport now, a swirling vortex of energy unlike anything they had seen before. At its center was darkness so complete it seemed to swallow the light around it. "Last resort," Miller said grimly. "Prepare the emergency beacon. Include all our data and a warning message." Dr. Wright looked up from his station, his face pale. "Captain, I'm detecting something else now. There are structures inside the anomaly. Artificial structures. And they're massive." The ship's lights flickered as another system failed. The Defender was being pulled inexorably toward the heart of the anomaly. Miller made his decision. "Boyd, record this message. Earth Command, this is Captain Miller of the USS Defender. We found something. If we don't return, prepare yourselves. What we've discovered is not natural. Repeat, not natural. It appears to be an artificial gateway of some kind, and something is waiting on the other side." As Boyd sent the tight beam message toward Earth, Miller addressed his crew. "Everyone to emergency stations. Secure all research data, whatever happens next, we need to be ready." The Defender crossed the threshold of the anomaly. For a brief moment, it felt like the entire ship was being turned inside out. Every crew member felt it, a sensation of being stretched across vast distances while simultaneously compressed to a single point. Then darkness fell. Back on Earth, 3 weeks later, First Officer Lisa Reeves walked into Space Command headquarters in Houston. She had missed the Defender's mission due to her mother's illness. Now, she was eager to rejoin her ship and crew. Admiral Frank Patterson was waiting. For her, his face grim. "What happened?" Reeves asked, immediately sensing something was wrong. "We lost contact with the Defender 3 weeks ago," Patterson said. "Their last transmission was concerning." He played the message from Captain Miller. Reeves listened, her heart sinking with each word. "We've sent probes to their last known coordinates," Patterson continued. "Nothing returns. It's like that section of space simply swallows anything that enters it." "We need to mount a rescue mission," Reeves said immediately. Patterson shook his head. "The Security Council has deemed it too risky. We don't know what we're dealing with, so we're just giving up on 200 people." Reeves couldn't believe what she was hearing. Not giving up. Regrouping. Something out there took our most advanced ship without a fight. We need to understand what we're up against before we send more people. Over the following months, Earth's governments came together in an unprecedented way. The Space Defense Initiative was formed, pooling resources and technology to build ships and weapons that might stand a chance against whatever had taken the Defender. Reeves threw herself into the work, reviewing the Defender's final transmissions over and over, looking for clues. She became an expert on the anomaly, writing papers and theories about what might have happened. Many thought she was obsessed, but she didn't care. Her friends were out there somewhere. She wouldn't abandon them. 1 year turned into 2, then 5, then 10. The Space Defense Initiative built bigger ships, better weapons. Earth united as never before against a threat they couldn't see or understand. Monitoring stations were established throughout the solar system, watching for any sign of the anomaly reappearing. And then, one ordinary Tuesday, every alarm in Earth's defense network began to sound at once. Massive energy signatures appeared at the edge of the solar system, signatures that matched the anomaly that had taken the Defender a decade earlier. Admiral Patterson, now commander of Earth's Unified Space Forces, called an emergency meeting. "It's happening," he told the assembled military and scientific leaders. "Whatever took the Defender is coming here now." Lisa Reeves, now a commander and the foremost expert on the anomaly, studied the readings. "These signatures are much larger than what the Defender encountered. Whatever it is, it's not hiding anymore." "Are we ready?" someone asked. Patterson looked around the room. "We're about to find out." The massive ships appeared without warning, 6 of them, each larger than the biggest cities on Earth. They hung in the black space beyond Neptune's orbit, their hulls dark and strange in shape. No lights shone from them. They simply waited. "Are they doing anything?" Admiral Patterson asked, leaning over the shoulder of a young officer at the monitoring station. "No, sir, they're just sitting there," the officer replied. Commander Lisa Reeves studied the images carefully. The ships looked like nothing humans had ever built. Their surfaces were rough, almost organic, with odd protrusions and curves that seemed to follow no logical design. They reminded her of deep-sea creatures, evolved for an environment humans could barely comprehend. "We should send the Helios," she suggested. "It's our most advanced ship. If they're hostile, it has the best chance of getting away with information we can use." Patterson nodded slowly. "Captain Taylor is already on standby. But I don't like sending our people into danger without knowing more." "We've had 10 years to prepare," Reeves said. "But we still know nothing about what took the Defender. We need to learn, and fast." Within 6 hours, the Helios was approaching the alien vessels. Captain Eric Taylor stood on his bridge, outwardly calm, but with tension visible in the tight set of his shoulders. "Open a channel," he ordered. "All frequencies, all languages we know. Include the first contact package the linguists prepared." For 20 minutes they broadcast their message of peace. There was no response. "They have to have seen us by now," said Olivia Green, the ship's science officer. "A vessel our size can't be missed." As if in answer to her words, one of the alien ships began to move. It turned slowly, a part of its hull shifting and opening like a massive eye. "Full stop," Taylor ordered. "Hold position here." The alien ship sent no message, fired no weapons. Instead, a beam of light shot out from the opening, washing over the Helios. "It's scanning us," Dr. Green reported, her eyes fixed on her instruments. "I've never seen anything like this. It's going through our hull like it's not even there." The light vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. For a long moment, nothing happened. "Maybe they're just curious," someone on the bridge suggested. Then a voice filled the ship's speakers, a sound like multiple voices speaking at once, somehow translated into English. "You are not the ones who escaped," the voice said. "You are different, less evolved. But you will join us all the same." Taylor leaned forward. "This is Captain Eric Taylor of the Earthship Helios. We come in peace. Who are you?" "We are the Void Collective," the voices replied. "We have consumed 1,000 worlds. Your planet will provide new consciousness for our growth." Dr. Green looked up from her console, face pale. "Captain, they're powering up something. The energy readings are off the charts." "Shields up," Taylor ordered. "Prepare to retreat." But before the Helios could move, the alien ship fired. Not at them, but past them, toward Jupiter. The beam struck Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Where Europa's research outpost had stood with its crew of 300, there was now only a crater. They vaporized it," the tactical officer whispered. The voices spoke again. "This is what awaits resistance. Prepare your world for harvest. We give you 3 of your days." The communication cut off. "Get us out of here, maximum speed," Taylor ordered. "We need to warn Earth." Back on Earth, panic spread as news of the alien ultimatum reached the public. World leaders gathered in emergency session, military forces went on high alert, and people looked to the skies with fear. In the meeting room at Space Defense Headquarters, Admiral Patterson faced the grim reality. "Our most advanced weapons are toys compared to what they just did to Europa," he said. "And they did it without even trying hard." Commander Reeves pored over the sensor data from the Helios. "There's something familiar about their energy signature," she said. "It's like the anomaly that took the Defender, but more focused." "Can we evacuate?" someone asked. 8 billion people in 3 days? Patterson shook his head. "Even if we had the ships, where would we go? No, we have to find a way to fight." "Sir," a young officer interrupted, rushing into the room. "We're detecting more signals. A second group of alien ships is approaching from the other side of the solar system." "A second group?" Patterson's face darkened. "They're surrounding us." "No," Reeves said, studying the new data. "These ships are different, smaller, and they're moving faster." The tense hours that followed were filled with frantic preparation. Every ship Earth had was mobilized. Weapons that had never been tested outside of laboratories were rushed into service. People huddled in shelters, praying that humanity's defenders could somehow stop the coming storm. The first attack came from the original 6 ships. They moved into position around Earth's outer defenses near Mars. Earth ships met them, firing everything they had. From his command center, Admiral Patterson watched as humanity's best weapons bounced harmlessly off the alien vessels. The Void Collective didn't even slow down. One by one, Earth's outer defensive platforms went dark. "The second alien group will reach us within the hour," an officer reported. "Keep fighting," Patterson ordered, though hope was fading from his voice. "Every minute we buy gives more civilians a chance to reach the deep shelters." Commander Reeves wasn't at the command center. She had gone to the Advanced Signals Lab, convinced that there was something important in the pattern of the approaching second alien group. "Run it through the filter again," she told the technician working with her. "Compare it with the final transmission from the Defender." The computer worked quickly, and when the results appeared on screen, Reeves felt her heart skip a beat. "That's it," she whispered. "They're using the same basic communication frequency that the Defender used. But why would the Void Collective—" She stopped, a wild hope forming in her mind. "Get me a direct channel to Admiral Patterson now." On the main defense command screen, Earth's remaining ships fought a losing battle. The Void Collective was pushing through to Earth. The planet's final hours seemed to be approaching. Sir, an officer called to Patterson. The second alien group has changed course. They're moving to intercept the Void Collective ships, not us. What? Patterson moved to look at the tactical display. Are they fighting each other? Before anyone could answer, a new signal cut through all communications channels. Earth Command, this is Captain John Miller of the USS Defender. Returned with reinforcements. Sorry we're late. Been a bit busy these past 10 years. A shocked silence fell over the command center. Then a cheer went up, starting small but quickly growing until it filled the room. On the screen, a ship appeared that no one recognized at first. It was only when they zoomed in on faded markings along its hull that they saw it, the name Defender, barely visible under layers of strange metals and new technology. But the Defender was changed. Its hull now shimmered with an odd light. Parts of it seemed to fade in and out of visibility, and it was leading a small fleet of alien ships, all moving with purpose toward the Void Collective vessels. Captain Miller, Patterson said when he found his voice. Welcome home. You have a lot of explaining to do. Indeed I do, Admiral, Miller's voice replied. But first, we have an invasion to stop. The transformed Defender moved like nothing Earth forces had ever seen. It seemed to flicker in and out of normal space, making it nearly impossible for the Void Collective ships to target it. The alien vessels fighting alongside it used similar tactics, darting between the much larger enemy ships with surprising speed. In Earth's command center, officers watched with a mixture of hope and disbelief. What happened to that ship? Admiral Patterson whispered, staring at the screen. The Defender they had lost 10 years ago had been Earth's most advanced vessel at the time, but it had been a conventional ship, bound by the laws of physics as humans understood them. This vessel moved as if those laws were merely suggestions. Admiral, a communications officer called out. The Defender is requesting permission to dock at Orbital Station Alpha. Captain Miller wants to brief us in person. Patterson hesitated only a moment. Grant permission and alert security. I want a full medical team standing by as well. Commander Lisa Reeves couldn't believe what she was hearing. After 10 years of searching, of hoping against hope, John Miller was alive. She requested permission to be part of the reception team, which Patterson granted immediately. You've earned it, he told her, but be careful. We don't know what happened to them out there. 3 hours later, Reeves stood in the docking bay of Orbital Station Alpha, watching as the airlock cycled. The ship that had docked was only a small shuttle from the Defender, but even it was clearly different from Earth technology. Its hull seemed to shift slightly when viewed from the corner of the eye, and strange patterns moved across its surface. The airlock opened. A man stepped through wearing what looked like a uniform but made of material that moved like living skin. Behind him came 3 others in similar clothing. Reeves stepped forward, her heart pounding. Captain Miller? The man smiled, but it was a tired smile, the kind earned through years of hardship. Commander Reeves, you were missed at the start of our mission. He looked older than his years, with gray streaking his formerly brown hair. A thin scar ran down one side of his face, and his eyes held a depth of experience that made Reeves want to step back. What happened to you? She asked. Where have you been? Before Miller could answer, one of the others with him stepped forward. Reeves recognized Dr. Alan Wright, the ship's science officer, though like Miller, he seemed aged beyond his years. Perhaps we should save the explanations for everyone at once, Wright suggested. Time is short. Miller nodded. He's right. The Void Collective knows we're here now. They'll be regrouping soon. The briefing room was full when they arrived. Admiral Patterson sat at the head of the table with military and government officials lining both sides. All conversation stopped when Miller entered. Captain John Miller, Patterson said formally. Welcome home. Miller nodded. Thank you, Admiral. Though I should warn you, Earth isn't home for some of us anymore. Not exactly. A murmur went through the room. Miller introduced his team. Dr. Alan Wright, Chief Engineer Kevin Russell, and Communications, Specialist Samantha Boyd. All showed the same signs of premature aging and experience as Miller himself. Where are the rest of your crew? someone asked. Some are still on the Defender, Miller explained. Others who didn't make it back. And some chose to stay with our allies. Your allies, Patterson repeated. The ships fighting with you. Who are they? Miller looked at Boyd, who smiled slightly. She touched a small device at her temple, and a holographic display appeared above the table, showing 7 different alien ships. The Defender was captured by the Void Collective 10 years ago, she said, her voice oddly harmonic, as if others were speaking with her. They tried to absorb us, both physically and mentally. That's what they do. They consume other species, adding their consciousness to their collective. But humans proved difficult to digest, Dr. Wright added. Something about our minds resisted the process. Most species they encounter surrender their individuality within days. We held out. Miller continued the story. While they were trying to break us down, we learned about them. And we weren't the only ones being held. There were captives from 7 other species, all at different stages of assimilation. Russell, the engineer, leaned forward. We organized a breakout. It took months of planning, but we managed to seize control of a section of their ship. We freed as many of the other captives as we could, stole several transport vessels, and escaped. The 7 ships with you, Reeves said. 1 from each species? Yes, Miller confirmed. We've been working together ever since, building a resistance, learning from each other. Each species had pieces of technology or knowledge that the others lacked. Together we've become something new. And now you've come home, Patterson said. Miller's expression darkened. Not just to come home, to warn you. The Void Collective has been consuming civilizations across 3 galaxies. They grow stronger with each one they absorb. If they take Earth, they'll add humanity's creativity and adaptability to their hive mind. They must be stopped here. Dr. Wright activated another holographic display, showing a complex diagram. The Void Collective isn't just a group of ships. It's a single entity spread across many vessels. They're connected through dimensional gateways, the same kind of anomaly that captured us 10 years ago. As they spoke, Samantha Boyd seemed distracted. Her eyes lost focus briefly, and she tilted her head as if listening to something. Sam? Miller asked, noticing her behavior. They're regrouping, she said. The Void ships are forming a new pattern. They're preparing for a full assault. How? Can she know that? An Earth officer asked. Miller exchanged glances with his crew before answering. Samantha was partially assimilated before we escaped. We were able to reverse most of the process, but she retained some connections to their communication network. She can sense them. Boyd's eyes refocused. They're afraid, she said with wonder in her voice. They've never encountered a species that escaped them before, let alone one that came back to fight. Admiral Patterson stood up. Captain Miller, we need everything you know about fighting these things. Our weapons barely scratched them. Conventional weapons won't work, Russell agreed, but we've learned a few tricks. He opened a case he had brought with him, revealing what looked like a small crystal. This contains schematics for modifications to your weapon systems. With these changes, your ships can at least hurt them. As the military officers gathered around the new technology, Reeves pulled Miller aside. John, she said quietly, what really happened to you out there? All of you look like you've aged 20 years, not 10. Miller's face showed a deep weariness. Time moves differently where we've been, Lisa. The places between dimensions, they change you. Some of us more than others. Before she could ask more questions, an alarm sounded. On the main screen, they could see the Void Collective ships forming into an attack formation. They're coming, Boyd announced. All of them. Miller straightened, suddenly every inch the captain again. Admiral, we need to get back to our ship. The Defender has been modified for this fight. Modified how? Patterson demanded. Miller smiled grimly. It's better if we show you. But I promise you this. The Void Collective is about to face something they've never encountered before. A human ship transformed by the very technology they use against others. As Miller and his crew prepared to return to their shuttle, Reeves made a decision. "I'm coming with you," she told him. Miller studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "We could use a fresh perspective, and someone who still remembers what we're fighting for." Together they hurried toward the docking bay, as behind them Earth's forces rushed to prepare for humanity's greatest battle. The transformed Defender was waiting, hovering just beyond the station, its hull shimmering with energies no human scientist could explain. It looked both alien and familiar, a human vessel reborn through the crucible of galactic conflict. "Welcome to the new Defender," Miller said as they boarded the shuttle. "Let's show the Void Collective what happens when they mess with humans." The shuttle docked with the Defender, and Commander Reeves felt a strange sensation as she stepped aboard. The air seemed to hum with energy. The walls pulsed slightly, as if the ship itself was breathing. "It takes some getting used to, Captain," Miller said, noticing her discomfort. "The ship is partly alive now." Reeves stared at him. "Alive?" "A gift from the Arboreals," Miller explained as he led her through corridors that seemed to shift subtly as they walked. "One of our allied species. They grow their ships rather than build them. They helped us integrate organic components into the Defender's systems." Crew members nodded respectfully as Miller passed. Reeves noticed that many of them had visible modifications, metal implants at their temples like Boyd's, strange patterns, on their skin, eyes that glowed faintly in different colors. "Your crew has changed," she observed. Miller's expression was solemn. "We all have. You don't face something like the Void Collective and remain the same." They entered what had once been the bridge but was now a vast chamber filled with technology. Reeves couldn't begin to understand. At various stations sat not only humans but also beings clearly not from Earth. One looked almost like a tall insect, with 4 arms working quickly over what appeared to be a living console. Another was humanoid but with skin that rippled with changing colors. "Commander Reeves," Miller announced. "Meet the Leadership Council of our alliance." The alien beings turned to look at her. Despite their strange appearances, Reeves sensed intelligence and even warmth in their regard. "The Void Collective believes they are the pinnacle of evolution," said the insect-like being in perfect English. "They think assimilation is the highest form of existence. We are proof they are wrong. Separate species working together by choice is more powerful than forced unity. This is Ziktar," Miller introduced, "of the Mantid Confederation. Their mathematical abilities far exceed our own." The being with the color-changing skin approached. "You carry hope within you," it said to Reeves. "We had almost forgotten what that feels like." "Ilara of the Luminous Ones," Miller explained. "They exist partially in another dimension. They taught us how to modify the Defender to phase between realities." For the next hour, Reeves met representatives from all 7 allied species. Each had suffered at the hands of the Void Collective. Each had contributed unique knowledge or technology to the resistance. Together with the humans from the Defender, they had formed a fighting force unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. "But why come back to Earth?" Reeves asked, when they gathered in what Miller called the strategy room. "You could have stayed hidden, built your forces." "Because Earth is the key," said Dr. Wright, who had been quiet until now. He activated a holographic display showing a map of the galaxy. "The Void Collective doesn't attack random worlds. They choose targets carefully, seeking specific traits. They consume consciousness," Miller added, "but not all consciousness is equally valuable to them. Some species have mental qualities that strengthen the collective more than others. Humans have something they want badly," continued Kevin Russell. "Our adaptability, our creativity, our stubborn refusal to give up." Navigator Paul Martinez joined them. Reeves noticed one of his eyes had been replaced with something mechanical. "I was partially assimilated," he explained, seeing her look. "Enough to learn how they think. The Void Collective has been watching Earth for centuries. They believe humans represent an evolutionary branch they haven't encountered before." "Which is why we had to warn you," Miller said, "and why we came, with a plan to stop them for good." He expanded the holographic display to show the Void Collective fleet. "Their ships act as one because they're connected through dimensional gateways. Cut those connections, and instead of one entity spread across many vessels, they become separate, confused fragments. And you can do that? Reeves asked. Cut their connections? We can, Miller confirmed. But not from a distance. We need to get to their command ship, that massive one at the center of their formation. Reeves studied the display with growing concern. That would be a suicide mission. Even with your modified ship, you'd never get close enough. Not without help, Miller agreed. That's where Earth's fleet comes in. We need a distraction. A big one. The plan they formed over the next few hours was bold and desperate. Earth's remaining ships would launch a coordinated attack on the smaller void vessels, drawing attention away from the center. Meanwhile, the Defender and its allied ships would use their phasing technology to slip past the outer defenses. Once we reach the command ship, Miller explained, a small team will board it. We'll plant these. He held up what looked like small, glowing seeds. Phase disruptors. They'll sever the dimensional connections between void ships. I'm going with you, Reeves said immediately. Miller started to object, but she cut him off. I've spent 10 years studying everything we know about the anomaly that took you. I understand their energy signatures better than anyone on Earth. You need me. After a moment, Miller nodded. Welcome to the strike team, Commander. As they finalized their plans, Admiral Patterson contacted them from Earth Command. The Void Collective has issued another ultimatum, he reported grimly. We have 6 hours to surrender or they'll begin destroying major cities. They're getting nervous, Samantha Boyd said, her eyes unfocused as she listened to communications only she could hear. They know the Defender represents a real threat. 6 hours is enough, Miller decided. Admiral, have your fleet ready. In 5. As Earth's forces prepared for battle, Miller took Reeves to a quiet section of the ship. The walls here were transparent, offering a view of Earth below, blue and peaceful, unaware of how close it came to destruction. Before we do this, Miller said softly, there's something you should know. The modifications to the Defender, to us, they're permanent. Even if we win today, those of us who were captured can never truly come home again. We've changed too much. You came back anyway, Reeves pointed out. Knowing that. We did, he agreed. Because some things are worth fighting for, even if you can never go back to what you were. A soft chime sounded throughout the ship. It's time, Miller said. They returned to the bridge, where the crew was preparing for battle. Humans worked alongside aliens, their movements practiced and efficient. Through the viewports, they could see Earth's fleet taking up positions. The Void Collective ships were moving as well, forming into attack formation. All stations, report, Miller ordered, settling into the captain's chair. One by one, the crew confirmed their readiness. The Allied ships signaled they were in position. Earth's fleet was deployed and waiting for the signal. Remember what we're fighting for, Miller told them all. Not just Earth, but every world threatened by the Void Collective. Every species that deserves the right to chart its own evolutionary path. He turned to Reeves. Commander, signal Earth Fleet. Operation Homecoming begins now. On her command, dozens of Earth ships surged forward, weapons firing at the outer ring of void vessels. The battle for humanity's future had begun. At the same moment, the Defender and its 7 allied ships activated their phase drives. To outside observers, they seemed to flicker and fade, becoming ghost images that drifted between the fighting ships, invisible to the Void Collective's sensors. Phase transition complete, reported Martinez from navigation. Course set for Void. Command ship. Miller nodded. Take us in. It's time the Void Collective learned what happens when you try to assimilate humanity. As the transformed Defender glided silently toward the heart of the enemy fleet, Reeves felt a strange mixture of fear and hope. Whatever happened next would change the course of human history forever. The Defender moved like a ghost through the chaos of battle. Earthships fought bravely against the outer ring of void vessels, creating the distraction Miller had planned. From the bridge, They watched explosions bloom silently in space. Some were Earth vessels. Others were void ships damaged by the new weapons Russell had designed. Holding phase integrity at 90%, Martinez reported from his station. The Void Collective hasn't detected us yet. Miller nodded. Status of strike team? Ready in the launch bay? Samantha Boyd answered, her voice carrying those strange harmonic undertones. The phase suits are charged and operational. Reeves stood beside Miller, watching the massive Void command ship grow larger on their screens. Up close, it was even more intimidating. A sprawling structure that seemed to swallow light with odd protrusions and openings that shifted position as they watched. That thing is alive, she whispered. In a way, Dr. Wright confirmed. The ships are partly organic, grown around the collected consciousness of absorbed species. The command ship contains what you might call their central mind. Miller turned to Reeves. Last chance to stay behind. Once we're inside, there's no guarantee we can get out. She shook her head. I've waited 10 years to find out what happened. To the Defender, I'm not stopping now. Minutes later, Reeves found herself in the launch bay with the strike team. Besides her and Miller, it included Dr. Wright, Russell, Boyd, and representatives from 3 of the allied species, Ziktar of the Mantids, Ilara of the Luminous Ones, and a silent reptilian being Miller called Vex. The phase suits they wore looked like second skins, shifting colors as they moved. Reeves felt strange wearing hers. It seemed to pulse with her heartbeat, adapting to her body in ways that both comforted and unsettled her. The suits will help you phase through. Solid matter, Wright explained, but only for short periods. Stay too long between dimensions and, well, you saw what happened to us. The launch bay doors opened, revealing open space, and beyond it, the looming hull of the Void command ship. There were no shuttles, no conventional vehicles. We jump, Miller said simply. The suits will protect us and guide us to the entry point. Before Reeves could object, Miller stepped forward and vanished into space. One by one, the others followed. When her turn came, Reeves took a deep breath and stepped into emptiness. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced. She was moving through space without a ship, but she felt no cold, no lack of air. The suit seemed to create a bubble of reality around her. Ahead, she could see the others as glowing outlines moving toward the Void ship. They passed through the outer hull as if it were mist. Inside, the corridors were organic-looking, pulsing with dim light. Strange sounds echoed around them, like whispers just below the threshold of hearing. They know we're here, Boyd warned. Not our exact location, but they sense an intrusion. Then, we move fast, Miller replied. Boyd, which way to the central core? Boyd's eyes unfocused briefly. This way, she said, pointing down a corridor that seemed to shift and breathe. They moved quickly through the living ship. Occasionally, they encountered Void drones, strange, semi-formed creatures that seemed cobbled together from multiple species. The team phased through walls to avoid some. Others they were forced to fight using weapons that disrupted the energy binding the drones together. What are those things? Reeves asked after they disabled a particularly large drone. Failed assimilations, Wright explained grimly. When a consciousness resists too strongly, the Void Collective puts the body to use anyway. They fought their way deeper into the ship. Through transparent sections of the walls, they glimpsed vast chambers filled with what looked like thousands of suspended bodies of various species. The harvest, Miller said softly, following her gaze. Consciousness being slowly absorbed into the collective. Are they still alive? Reeves asked. In a way. Their minds are being broken down and integrated. It's why we need to hurry. The central core, when they reached it, was a massive spherical chamber. In the center floated what looked like a giant brain, but made of swirling energy rather than organic matter. Thousands of tendrils extended from it, disappearing into the walls. The consciousness hub, Wright said. Every Void ship is connected through that thing. Russell and Ziktar immediately began placing the phase disruptors at key points around the chamber. Ilara moved to a position where her body seemed to shimmer between dimensions, her hands manipulating energies only she could fully perceive. How long? Miller asked. 5 minutes to set the charges, Russell replied. Another 2 for them to synchronize. We don't have that long, Boyd warned suddenly. They've located us, drones converging from all directions. As if on cue, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. The tendrils extending from the central brain pulsed with angry red light. Defend the team, Miller ordered. Reeves, help me secure the entrance. The battle that followed was desperate and strange. Void drones poured into the chamber from multiple entrances. Miller and Reeves held one doorway, their phase weapons carving through the attackers. Vex and Boyd defended another, the reptilian, warrior moving with incredible speed while Boyd somehow anticipated each attack before it came. Almost done, Russell called. Just need to link the final circuits. A new sound filled the chamber, a deep, resonating tone that made Reeves's teeth ache. The central brain structure pulsed brightly, and a voice spoke directly into their minds. Humans, it said, the word dripping with contempt. You think yourselves special. You are merely food for our ascension. Miller grimaced as he fought. Keep talking. We're a bit busy right now. Your resistance is noted, the voice continued. It makes your consciousness more valuable. When we absorb you, we will understand this trait and add it to ourselves. Sorry to disappoint you, Miller replied. But humans don't like being told what to do, especially by overgrown jellyfish with delusions of grandeur. The brain structure pulsed angrily, and the drones attacked with renewed vigor. Reeves was knocked back, her suit briefly failing. A drone loomed over her, but Alara appeared, suddenly her form shifting between dimensions as she pulled Reeves to safety. Ready, Russell shouted finally. Disruptors synchronized. Everyone out, Miller ordered. Back to the extraction point. They fought their way out of the chamber, the voice of the Void Collective howling in their minds. The ship itself seemed to fight them, corridors closing and reshaping to trap them. Only their phase suits allowed them to continue moving toward their exit point. 30 seconds to detonation, Russell warned as they reached the outer hull. They phased through into open space just as the disruptors activated. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The command ship seemed to shudder, energy cascading across its surface. The connections between ships, invisible until now, suddenly appeared as lines of force, then shattered. Across the battlefield, void ships stopped moving in concert. Some drifted aimlessly. Others began firing on each other in confusion. The defender decloaked nearby, opening a bay for the strike team to return. As they landed safely inside, cheers erupted from the crew. It worked, Wright said in amazement. The collective is broken. Earth's fleet, recognizing the opportunity, pressed their advantage. Without their unified consciousness, the individual void ships were still dangerous but no longer coordinated. One by one, they were disabled or destroyed. On the Defenders, bridge. Admiral Patterson's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Miller, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I don't know how you did it, but the enemy is in retreat. Earth is safe. Miller smiled tiredly. Not just Earth, Admiral. Every world the Void Collective threatened. In the days that followed, the true scope of their victory became clear. Without the central mind controlling them, the countless beings, held captive by the Void Collective, began to wake from their forced assimilation. Many had been absorbed for so long they could never return to what they had been, but they were free. Miller and Reeves stood in the observation deck of the Defender, watching Earth rotate slowly below them. What happens now? She asked. You said you can't really come home. Not in the way we left, Miller agreed. But maybe that's okay. The galaxy is bigger than we ever imagined, with threats and wonders we've only begun to understand. Earth needs defenders who can operate in that larger universe. He gestured to where the Allied ships hovered nearby. Our alliance is just the beginning. There are other species out there, some just discovering space travel, others ancient and wise, all facing the same questions about their place in the cosmos. And where do humans fit in this new reality? Reeves asked. Miller smiled. That's what we get to decide. The Void Collective wanted our adaptability, our creativity, our determination. Those are the qualities that will define humanity's role among the stars. On the main deck below, human crew members worked alongside their alien allies. The ship hummed with energy and purpose. 10 years ago, it had left Earth as a simple exploration vessel. Now it had returned transformed, part human, part alien, something entirely new. Just as humanity itself now stood transformed, ready to take its place in a larger universe.